Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 62 of the Seezus Show. Feels great to be back. I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode. As always, I'm going to rehash with you guys. So on episode 61, Manny Fresh, my guest, came in and we talked about a lot of things. The top topics were the ESPN rankings, which were baloney. Team USA next year with the star players on paper verbally committing. Lonzo Ball, whether he was damaged goods or not. Kuzma's injury, NBA Media Day. It was good. It was good. Before I get into the topics today, it's been a couple episodes since my co-host has been on. I think he went out to space and then he just randomly happened to set foot on Earth. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, my co-host, Trey.
I've been lonely. I've been waiting for you. I'm pretending.
What?
And that's all I could do. The love I'm sending ain't making it through to your heart. It's the Lil Wayne version. nah, what's up, man? So happy to be back, man.
Wow.
Yikes.
How you been? How you been, man? What's new with you, bro?
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Just dodging the hooks and the sneak jabs from life, but everything's everything. You work hard every single day. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. So I said, hey, I'm just happy to be back, man. Episode 62 of the Seezus Show.
Hey,
was
man,
good.
I'm
was
happy.
very good.
I'm happy that you're back too.
It's very good.
It's been a long time coming. Obviously we've been having scheduling conflicts. People be working. We just be going through some stuff. So it's good that you had to. It's good that you made some time to stop by today.
Of course, bro. And the brand's been popping, bro. What? I've seen some lovely people wearing the Seezus brand, Seezus Show stuff. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be hats, whether it be anything. I've seen it. All right, y'all keep doing that, man. Show my boy some love. You already know what's going on.
Show me some love. I appreciate that. Before we get into the topics today, I've been reading a book. Actually, Trevor Noah, Born to Crime. It's pretty good. I'm only like 4 or 5 chapters in, but I think it's been out for like 2 years now. You guys should definitely check that out. Born to Crime. It's basically talking about Trevor Noah growing up in South Africa during apartheid and the end of the apartheid. So very, very interesting. Definitely check that out. But are you ready for the topics for today?
Let's go.
All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is just preseason in its entirety, man. It's been pretty interesting. Like, why? I feel like this is the year out of all the past years that we've been so excited for preseason. I think it's just because of the dynamic duos and the rookies and whatnot. But, like, why is preseason so exciting right now?
Because there's not really any, like, super perennial powers. And the perennial powers that have been or that we would expect to be haven't been proven yet. I mean, AD and LeBron are all-star players, maybe the best 2 players in the league, some would argue. But still hasn't been a proven duo in the playoffs. We have Golden State, who seems like have fallen from the basketball gods' graces. It's not the same team defensively or offensively right now with Klay being gone. Andre Iguodala is not on that team anymore. Andre Iguodala is on Memphis. Hasn't even suited up yet. You have teams like, young teams, or not, you can say young because Dallas with the dynamic duo of Porzingis, you have powers like Dame and CJ that are still around there. You have Brooklyn that is coming out emerging. You have the Greek Freak that's still out there. So you have so many narratives that to keep up with. It's like a game of zones per se. It might switch from one team to another team. It might be this. It might be that. And we're so excited because you can pick an array of franchises and players and narratives to run with, and all of them could be interesting and competitive in some way. So,
absolutely. So, first thing I want to talk about is the first look at AD and the Lakers. Can you pull those highlights up, please?
You already know.
So last week, preseason tipped off, and obviously, the Warriors moved into their new facility in San Francisco. So we got a chance to see Steph Curry's new look Warriors without Klay Thompson going up against the powerhouse and the Lakers. They look very scary, man.
Yeah.
LeBron, like we said, he's taking 6 months off. So he didn't make the playoffs last year. and he just looks like he's motivated again. Obviously, AD wanted out of the Pelicans, went to the Lakers. He really wants to prove that his time is now. And together, man, they looked dominant,
And in great shape too. Like
dominant. Like it was scary. It was just bully ball the whole time. Their pick and roll is insane.
yeah.
And what's crazy is like both of them, whenever they get the ball, they're gonna command the double team. So there's always going to be
Yes.
an open guy, whether it be LeBron being open with KD at when AD has the ball, Danny Green on the corner with Avery Bradley. Like it was pretty interesting. And the coach said that he was going to mix and match the lineups just to see like what works. So it kind of has that Nick Nurse approach from last year with the Raptors.
Yeah.
When they played against the Warriors, they had I think AD, JaVale McGee, LeBron James, Danny Green, and Avery Bradley all starting together. I like that because their backcourt defensively was pretty good. You're not gonna have LeBron James guarding guards. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, not anymore.
I like the tandem of Avery Bradley and Danny Green too, and they both space the floor as well too. So I really like that. But AD, man, he's scary.
So many intangibles that come with his game, like just around the rim, and then how he was like he sauced Draymond one time with the smooth step back into the. I don't know if it wasn't an and one, but it was definitely a foul jumper.
Yeah.
And he's versatile from beyond the arc all the way to super high percentage shots and damn near unstoppable in the paint area. You know, definitely when it comes to putbacks or when it comes to the dish off, you're not stopping him or a little tip in, any of that. Great court vision. We see like this clip right here we're watching right now is a top of the key, just high to low, lob to LeBron, which could just as easily be LeBron to AD. So crazy versatile team, man. Like it's hard to see somebody stopping them for 7 games, you know?
So my next thing I want to talk about, what are your expectations for the Lakers this season realistically? And then is it a foregone conclusion that they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals?
I don't think it's far fetched to say they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. As far as regular season goes, they'll have their woes. I think like any LeBron James playoff team or any LeBron James team.
Diva.
Man. So we all know that it can get kind of shaky in there. Definitely with the media attention on LeBron James, and then LeBron James kind of. He demands what he demands out of his team, out of his organization. If he wants players in there, 9 times out of 10, they're going to get those players in there, whether it be, right when he says it or the next year when they can get AD from the Pelicans, like this year. But it's going to be a little bit shaky. AD is out right now because he just hurt his thumb. So they're saying he might be out for the season, like you were telling me.
Whoa. Not out for the season. So
not season, for a month.
Yeah, so
for a
AD,
month.
so game 3 of their preseason game, they were going up against the Nets. And he tried to go block Joe Harris, and he sprained his right thumb. Yeah. So right now they're saying that he may be out for about a month, but they don't really know yet. So that's going to be something interesting to talk about. But keep going.
You got Kuz that's out as well, and we're saying he's probably going to be out for a month because it's a foot injury, correct? So, and that's probably a little bit more circumstantial than a thumb too. So you got again LeBron James in a way with company that is going to be starting the preseason and starting the regular season, and they might start off hot, they might start off cold, but at the same time we know this is a team that's going to get it together coming down the stretch like any LeBron James team does, or any team that LeBron James is on, and this is the most firepower he's had in like 3 or 4 years at least. So I feel them either starting off hot, maybe starting off very cold, definitely without their other star player coming in and getting it together down the stretch, probably after All-Star break. And they're going to win the games that matter during the season too, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, I see them. It's so crazy with the Western Conference because every game matters. You know what I'm saying? It's not the East. You can just cruise through the regular season and you can still be good to go. So I really don't know how severe, like I said, AD's injury is going to be. But that's going to be something interesting to see. LeBron basically starting the season without his 2 best players, and Kyle Kuzma and AD. Hopefully AD, from what I've seen in the past, he kind of is injury prone, but they were never like season-ending injuries, just those knick-knack injuries that are kind of like lingering and whatnot. And he's played through injury a lot as well
Right.
too. So I don't really think this thumb injury is going to be a problem. He might miss like the first 5 games, but aside from that, I've seen him being pretty fully healthy this year. And I see more so of him carrying the load as opposed to LeBron James. But I think they may, just because of those injuries themselves. Obviously, he does have talent, but I think if AD and Kuzma miss, let's say the first 5-10 games, they may be at 500. And then right when they come back, obviously they got to get everyone integrated, but I think they'll be good to go. So I see him finishing top 4 seed in the West, honestly.
Yeah, this is a team that kind of reminds me of the Warriors in that they could probably go on a streak of winning 10, 12 games.
Yeah.
And it would be a buzz, but nobody would think anything of it other than, damn, this is a really good team, So
And like you said, man, as far as foregone conclusion being in the conference finals, like if you got 2 of the top 5 players
you have to
in
put
the,
them there.
in the NBA, you got to get to the
have to.
conference finals. At that point, it's just like
You have to.
Yeah. Like you said, out of a 7-game series, aside from like the Clippers, I don't really see any team in the West beating them. But like I said, we're prisoners of the moment, so we got to see how everything unfolds. And
Very
obviously,
true.
health is the number one thing from getting from point A to point B. So getting from the first round to the conference final. So we'll see what's good with that.
Yes, sir.
They may be the best duo in the NBA as of right now because Paul George has that shoulder injury. And obviously we saw a little bit of Russ and Harden, which we're going to talk about a little later on today. And we saw a couple other duos, but they right now, I think they got that mantle as best duo right there. It's going to be ridiculous. And I think
Best healthy playing duo.
I think this year AD has the potential to not only be obviously all defensive team, all NBA. I think he really has a legitimate, because a lot of times, a lot of years people will be like, oh, KD and Steph cancel each other out, such and such cancel each other out. I think the fact that AD actually has talent around him now, I think he can really be the MVP this year, finally.
Of course.
And also, I think he has a chance to not only win MVP this year, but also be Defensive Player of the Year as well, too. And that's gonna be crazy.
It's big time playing with that kind of talent around you. One, because you have LeBron James being in the court general and player that he is to make other people better around him. And this is like ultra super. I can't even find the word, but it's gonna accelerate AD even more because LeBron James is a player that does that, and he's a superstar as well. So it's like superstar squared. And I think AD, he's gonna feed AD every chance he gets. LeBron's gonna be like, all right, you shine, and then when it gets down to the nitty gritty, like let's both shine together. But I think LeBron's totally fine with letting AD eat all he can, and AD has the skill set and the repertoire to do so. On top of, maybe last year he couldn't take as many shots, or not take as many shots, but he couldn't take some shots that he wanted to take because like, oh, I got to get back on defense. Oh, what if this goes wrong? There's more of like there's less of a room for error. This time he can do anything he needs to, and he knows that he has people that have his back on this team too, other superstars that have his back. So I think AD is primed and ready for a MVP season, and if any season was the season to do it, it'll be this season right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of injuries, so game 2 of the Lakers preseason, they went up against the Nets, and at first and foremost, Kyrie Irving had on his Batman mask. I think before preseason started, maybe it was like training camp or whatnot. He hurt his face, and it turns out that he re-aggravated his facial fracture. And it's kind of crazy. The person who injured him or re-aggravated it was Rajon Rondo.
Wow.
I think Kyrie's playing defense on him, and Rajon like tried to swipe at him or something like that, and it just hit his face. He only literally played 1 minute of that game itself. So
That's wild.
it's I mean, obviously KD's out for the whole year, but it's like, damn, like how long is he going to be out for? And is that a concern moving forward? Because he did have the messed up kneecap. He's had multiple injuries, and obviously he's been pretty healthy. He was pretty healthy last season. But like, what do you expect with Kyrie moving forward?
I think that this is not a season where the Nets are, I think, expecting to win an NBA championship.
Oh no.
So you have two assets like KD and Kyrie that right now, with nothing won and nothing accomplished, you just need to get on the court together.
Yeah.
So however much it takes for a facial fracture to heal, you have to let it as a GM, coming from seeing what happened to KD, you have to let your superstar players heal. And if it's going to take them the year to heal, cool. It's not going to take Kyrie a year to heal from a facial fracture, but give him, if it's a month, to give him a month, because you guys aren't looking to win a championship this year. You're looking to troubleshoot. You're looking to figure out your team, what pieces you might need additional next year. Who you might need to shop. But at the same time, they're not going to be a top 4 team in the East this year. That's what I don't think they are. So why not let your superstar players rest and protect your assets?
Yeah, and I don't know how long he's going to be out for. I mean, you got LeVert and Dinwiddie as that backcourt tenement. Like I said, they've had somewhat of a playoff test, so I think they'll be just fine. Kyrie will ease his way back in, and like I said, no expectations for them this year. Definitely going to make the playoffs, but let's see how you grow from all that.
Facts.
So next thing I want to talk about, no disrespect to any of the rookies. What I'm saying? Michael Porter Jr. looked good. Could be the next KD. Who knows? Kobe White looks very outstanding as well, too. Rui Hachimura for the Wizards looks like a hybrid LaMarcus Aldridge. I saw him hitting clips from the 3.
Sheesh.
RJ Barrett looks pretty tough as well. John Morant, he's doing his thing as well, too. Multiple rookies doing their thing. It's exciting. But at the end of the day, you already know what I'm going to talk about. That boy, Zion Williamson. Oh, my God.
He looks like a star player. You want to be the what?
Oh, my God.
You want to be the star player.
It's crazy because, obviously, my favorite college team is Duke. So I follow Duke and I follow the players as well in college as well, too. Seeing him, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely going to be a number 1 pick. But since I've never seen a player like him before, I didn't really know how to predict what he was going to turn out to be in the NBA.
Filthy.
And, he went up against Chicago, the Bulls. I think he had 16-4 that night. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, the Bulls were not a playoff team last year. They're kind of undersized, so you better have your way with them. You're 280. And then he went up against Utah. And wow. He was giving Rudy Gobert the business, bro.
It's gonna be my face the whole segment we're talking about Zion, because he's dirty, he's filthy, he's just.
And I was like, maybe he's just undersized. So we'll see, but he's
undersized.
He's too strong. He's too athletic. He's 280. He's quick off the dribble. He's a great finisher at the basket. He knows how to use the backboard.
It's like we're talking about a superhero right now. He's too strong. He's too fast. He can fly.
It's crazy.
Dude, what?
It's crazy because the 3 games he's played, they've been literally, I think a combined. I want to say, in 82 minutes of play, or we're not even gonna talk about 82 minutes of play. Mm-hmm. In those first 3 games, he's averaging 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists.
Yep.
It's crazy, man. I don't even know what to say, bruh. I don't know what to say. What do you? Tell me how you feel about Zion, bro.
The thing is, I had to revisit my predictions for him, because I know we talked about this on an earlier episode, but I said I would give him probably 15, maybe 7. I say 2 or something like that. This is drastically changing. I mean, this is this is 3 preseason games, and dude looks ridiculous. How your older cousin or the older guy or the bigger guy at the basketball court playing pickup would just take the ball from you off of a rebound. You're not strong enough. Zion's doing this to grown men, to grown 7-foot tall forwards, in traffic, and then putting the ball back in the rim for extra. So he's getting the shot attempt, he's getting the points, he's getting the rebounds. He's filthy. First off, he's filthy. He's packing his stats with this. Not saying he's trying to pack his stats, but it's easy to do that when you're more athletic than everybody. It's like playing middle school basketball. You just jump right back up, get the rebound, put it back in. So I revisited it, and I said he'll probably average on the course of a 72-game season. 8. Okay. I'll give him 18. I'll give him 9, and I'll give him about 4. So,
that's crazy. My numbers were pretty much very similar when I was in my group message. I said 18, 9, and 4. Yeah.
and he's probably going to be liable to go off for a few stupid games. He'll probably go off for a few 30-point games. He might have a 40-point.
If I don't want to
shooting,
I don't want to wish this on anyone. If let's say a couple like Brandon Ingram goes down for like a sprained ankle, like he's gonna have a 40 point. He's gonna have a 40 point game this year, especially against the East, the lower level.
Because what the change of direction on this kid is ridiculous. At his size, at his pace, he looked. And you could say, oh, well, he has to stay healthy, yada, 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 throughout his career. He's not going to be that athletic forever. He's only going to get smarter. He's only going to understand defensive schemes more. And I was listening to the commentation about him. They're like, yo, he's going to go above you. He's going to go around you. He's going to go through you. Because literally, Rudy Gobert is straight up, and Zion's going through his body. Just through his – and he's pushing Rudy Gobert back. No, like – stupid. I'm excited just talking about it because we haven't seen anything like this since a LeBron. We haven't seen the craze over it since something like a Jordan, to keep it a stack. And we're comparing him to Charles Barkley, which, we'll look back at this in about, I say 2-3 years, and we might say that Charles Barkley
rewind.
Like the bounce, the secondary bounce on this kid is ridiculous. Like he secondary bounced it. Like he missed the layup. He secondary bounces it into a dunk, into a putback dunk. And Rudy Gobert has jumped, came down, and is just getting his head around to watch Zion Williamson dunk the ball again. It's absolutely ridiculous what he's doing. It's gonna be. That's why we're so excited about NBA basketball, because we have players like this, like super electrifying. He might be a once in a lifetime player. And again, like I was about to say, we were comparing him to Charles Barkley. We might look back at this in 2 or 3 years and say, yo, to compare him to Charles Barkley was disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because it's just how it looks. And the kid's shooting threes, too.
He's a winner, bro. He's a winner, man. They look good.
Bro, what?
And Lonzo, him and Lonzo are going to be a nice duo moving forward. And I love the fact that Lonzo left the Lakers environment, so now he can, truly come into his own, taking advantage of his own career and whatnot. But Lonzo looks good. His jump shot looks revitalized a little bit. He's starting to hit the three. Obviously, he's going to get everyone involved, going to be out of transition. So alone, Lonzo's probably going to get at least 5-6 assists a night just from the tandem of him and Zion together. And it's going to be crazy.
And one thing to look at, too, is just we always talk about the changing landscape of the NBA and, how the five's kind of obsolete and stuff like that. This is a hybrid, young, new NBA team.
Yeah.
And it's scary because this is not a team, if you're smart as a Pelicans owner or GM, this is not a team you want to break apart, because this is what the NBA essentially has gone to. Mm-hmm. They're just a young version. And you have the best player for being a hybrid kind of five, kind of, just run the floor, fast-paced kind of guy in Zion Williamson. It looks like, It looks like, we don't know if he has the whole LeBron IQ package stuff yet. Maybe the skill level is not there. But when it comes to running the floor, you get some shooters around these guys, and you're not playing a traditional five, but he's bullying fives. Yeah. This could really just put the nail in the coffin for a regular, or not regular, but old school five. Then you have to have a forward. NBA basketball.
I'm excited to see him go up against Joel Embiid, Giannis, Kawhi, PG, all the top name players. I can't wait. I gotta get NBA League Pass. Last year I got it from my boy Omar. Yeah. I know you're gonna listen to this episode, Omar. Don't play me. Let me get that password. If not, I might have to drop that $200 for that. Someone got to go half of me on that one. But I'm definitely getting League Pass this year. I'm going to be watching the Pelicans a lot this year. So excited for them as well. My thing is, the West is so stacked. So, do you think that they're going to make the playoffs this year? I mean, since JJ Redick's been in the league, he's never missed a playoff, so that's a plus right there. But do you think they can make that 8 seed? It's going to be tough, man, because like I said, and I told Manny this last week, I'm just going to, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not even going to put any order, but there's some good teams. Yeah. We already know Portland's going to go there. We already know the Lakers. We already know the Clippers. We already know Houston. You know what I'm saying? We already know more than likely Utah. From there, who am I missing? The Warriors.
Yeah, it's the Warriors.
From there, I'm not.
Spurs?
Pops never missed the playoffs. So they're right there. So who leaves that A spot? Is it Dallas? Is it the Pelicans? Do the Sacramento Kings take another
The Nuggets?
leap?
The Nuggets finished to what?
I'm sorry. Yeah, they're not making playoffs. bro.
The Nuggets?
Yeah, my
Dog,
fault.
OD disrespectful because we're caught in the headlights, but dog.
Yeah, Pelicans not.
Woo.
Unless the Spurs, DeJounte Murray's back. DeMar DeRozan's finally like ingratiated with that system as well too. Lonnie Walker's looking. Yeah, I don't know
Baby
if the
steps.
Pelicans-
Let's baby steps.
Yeah, so they're gonna be exciting this year. They may be, in the West, like when it's after All-Star break, like literally the 6 to 8 seed,
Yeah.
6 to like 10 seed always changes.
Yeah.
So they may be in playoffs one day and then out the other day, but I think when it's all said and done, these teams already have their culture, their system set in space, set in time or whatever. So I think the Pelicans will come real shy and be battling for the AC, but I don't think they're gonna make that playoff spot.
What would give the Pelicans the 8th spot in the West? And, it's always a close race. So you could put 8 or 7, depending on some games, depending on possibly injuries. Mm-hmm. It will be a unanimous Rookie of the Year for Zion Williamson.
He's winning Rookie of the Year. And at first, a couple episodes back when I was talking to you, I said RJ Barrett just because he's going to have more of a green light. No.
Dude, if this dude starts shooting the rock from outside,
he's gonna attempt at least 1 or 2 threes a game.
But like from deep, if he just because people are gonna be staying back from him. If he can look at somebody and just pull his jumper up and hit that 3 out of 5 times, that's saying a lot. If he could hit that, 4 out of 10 times, that's 12 extra points to him not driving by somebody, and then you have the defense stunned. But in order for the Pelicans to get into the playoffs, it has to be a Rookie of the Year season for Zion Williamson. Brandon Ingram damn near has to be an All-Star.
I think he's gonna give us at least 20 points per game this year.
Like he has to like KD. Like
I think honestly, like it's on Lonzo too. Like I need to see him become more aggressive and finding ways to just score the basketball. We already know what he's going to bring to you on the defensive end. We already know he's going to facilitate and whatnot. But are you going to be able to score and knock down your shots?
So if they can get those 3 things, I think they have a solid defensive foundation. Not anything to take on top contenders in the West, but let's start baby steps again and just get them into the playoffs. Let's get them into school, see how they do. All right?
Speaking of jump shots, Ben Simmons finally hit a 3.
Cranky.
Social media went insane, bro. There's so many different memes, so many different edited videos.
I used to dream for times like this to shoot like this.
Right? It was crazy, man. I'm proud of him. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it was a preseason game and it wasn't against an NBA team. But the fact that he actually attempted a 3 and switched that joint gives me high hopes.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if this translates into the regular season. So, quick question for you.
What's up?
Do you see him attempting more 3s a game? Because I looked at the last 2 games he played besides that China team. He ain't shooting no 3s. He attempted no 3s. I guess it's more so of a take what the defense gives you.
Yeah. I don't even need Ben Simmons to shoot 3s. If he takes jump shots, we'll be in a much better space. Ben Simmons jump shot happy season could save the world. And I don't mean just save. I'm not playing about this. I mean he could really end everything that's wrong with the world, and it will be amazing.
Yeah. So just off his physical ability, he's gonna give you 18, 20 points. If he can hit 2 3s a game, that would be crazy. Like if he starts knocking down shots or at least attempting them and they're solid, he could very well be be considered MVP.
And what I look at is the comfort level of it. Like if he looked uncomfortable shooting it, then it'd be one thing. Like there's a Ben Simmons that just doesn't take jump shots, and then there's a Markelle Fultz that looks super uncomfortable even attempting a jump shot. We just haven't seen Ben Simmons try a jump shot until recently. Then it's all right, he looks mad comfortable. Why not do it? So I have high hopes for that. I'm hoping he just does it. He's just do it. He has a great teammates around him. He has Tobias Harris. He has shooting pieces like Mike Scott, people like that around him. So dish it, but at the same time, if you have the opportunity to shoot that thing, man. Why not?
Yeah, I agree with you. So we'll definitely see what's going on with them as well too. Another thing I want to talk about are the Rockets tandem with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. So they pretty much look the same. I'd say one thing I'll give obviously it's only been a couple games, but one thing I'll give credit to the head coach is that it seems like he's literally letting Russ be Russ in the sense that it's not just points in transition and 3-point attempts. Like Russ is actually posting up, he's actually shooting mid range as well too, and I like the dynamic that they added that when whoever gets the rebound, they get a ball to Russ, and literally it's a fast break. So that's something that CP3 couldn't do.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of more points in transition, which I like with the Rockets itself. But how do you feel about this tandem with James Harden and Russell Westbrook? I mean, we were talking about it off air a little bit.
Yeah, I was telling you before the show. For me, this is just like, you ever like got involved with somebody, and the last person kind of hurts you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm a little bit tender with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't you open up to me? Why can't you? It's because I can't. You know what I'm saying? Because the last person hurt me, and the person before that hurt me, and the person before that hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not really going to respect anything until I really see it. And for me, seeing it for them is this season is going to be OD, is going to be amazing. I think them working together is going to be great. But it doesn't really mean anything for me until the playoffs come. Because that's been the woes. I think did Russ make the playoff last year? Or he got knocked out?
He's never missed the playoffs.
So they got knocked out
by Portland.
By Portland.
You can't forget that.
Yeah, I can't forget that. I'm tripping. And then and then James Harden and CP3, was it Western Conference Finals?
What?
Last year.
Nah, they went to the second round, lost to the Warriors.
Second round loss to the Warriors. So, granted, there have been perennial powers that have taken these guys down. And Dame's a perennial power. When it comes to people you don't want to see first round of playoffs, it's like Warriors, Dame, and then I don't know. That's the long list of stuff, the short list of stuff you don't want to see first round of the playoffs, and probably LeBron too. So you could put the Warriors, Dame, Lillard, and then LeBron James in the first round of playoffs. You don't want to see that. But for them, it's the Western Conference Finals to me or bust, because that's the hump that you brought Russell in to get over, and it wouldn't be a fail if they got to the Western Conference Finals and played well. But if they didn't get to the Western Conference Finals for some reason, and I know that the Lakers are here, the Clippers are here, and the Rockets are somewhere between 3 and 4 in our minds about this. Yeah. But for the expectations and from what your team has came from, unless it's a Western Conference Finals, it doesn't mean much to me. They are a good tandem to be working together. We haven't seen them since OKC together. I just need them to get that far to show me that this was a good investment. This was a good trade to make.
Yeah, and it sucks because now we do have the Clippers and now we do have the Lakers, and I just think in the playoffs that's just a bad matchup for
anybody,
for them. Like if they play the Lakers are just going to destroy them with their size.
Yeah.
If they play the Clippers, they're going to get strapped on the perimeter with PG. Yeah. You got Beverly, PG, and you got Kawhi on Russ and Harden. It's
dogs.
They might sweep them.
Some
or
dogs.
4-1 them. But like you said, you brought in Russ for a reason to get over the hump. We're going to see what they do this year.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, honestly, they're Houston. They're going to be a top 3 team this year in the West and in the NBA. They're going to have record-breaking nights and whatnot. They're probably going to have a couple triple-doubles together this year with that tandem. But when it's all said and done, the biggest knock on James Harden, the biggest knock on Russell Westbrook is last 5 minutes, you got the ball, take me to the promised land.
Yes.
Let's see what they do together.
Let's see what they do together. And I think we've been like sensationalizing the Lakers-Clippers kind of matchup. I think a Rockets-Clippers matchup would be pretty dope.
And I was telling Austin about this. My dream scenarios for, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think due to load management, the Lakers and Clippers, their star players won't play a full 82 games. And honestly, the most durable duo is probably CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, and also Russell Westbrook and James Harden.
Yeah.
So I was like, off of load management alone, it would be dope if the Rockets had the number 1 seed.
Okay.
And then, like we said, if the Pelicans had the 8 seed, that would be a hot ass first round matchup. I would love to see that. Then I think I said I wanted the Clippers to. I said the Clippers will have a boring matchup. They'll probably play Utah first round.
Okay.
And I think I wanted Portland to play the Lakers. And I think another one. I think it was the Nuggets and Spurs or something like that. But that's just what if
wishful thinking.
wishful thinking in my head as well too.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to talk about is Markel Fultz. Last week, me and Manny were talking about him a little bit, but Markel Fultz been looking pretty good, man. Obviously, you know, we had high expectations for him in Philadelphia, and obviously he couldn't live up to that. But he got into a new environment, kind of like Alonzo Ball per se, and they're really just going to take his time with him. But he's been looking pretty solid, I'd have to say. Once he gets his jump shot, like he seems like he's shooting with more confidence with his jump shot. They may not all be going in, but as long as he gets that confidence and maintains that consistency, I think down the line, not this year, maybe the next 2 years, he's going to turn into that
that monster we saw at Washington.
That we saw at Washington itself. But honestly, man, he got the handles. He got the length to defend on the perimeter. He's a pretty damn good finisher, and he's a pretty damn good playmaker as well too. He kind of reminds me of he could be like a hybrid Tony Parker. I think that's my ceiling for him as of right now. But what are your thoughts on Markel Fultz saga?
It's just, I feel for him as always, but you would think at some point, if it was a mental thing that was preventing him from kind of getting his shot down, or we'll say between the injury and mental kind of thing, that was like, all right, maybe his body and mind weren't working together to be confident in the shot. But after a while, you would think it would be kind of like riding a bike. I haven't done it in a while, but you start to see it go down, and then something kind of switches on. So I'm hoping that the same thing that might have, or the same kind of process and concept that might have led him to not be able to shoot that shot at a high percentage, or being able to shoot it to where he knows how to shoot it, kind of clicks in and lets him shoot it how he used to shoot it when he was, the top player coming out of college. And, just get back to him. And because he looks fluid, he has a good pace to him. He's trying to smooth over his game a little bit more, because this is the first time he's played in damn near 2 years since he's been really played. So I'm optimistic for him. He has players like Mo Bamba down there in Orlando who they can be a sneaky team.
They're going to be a good team this year because unless they just got lackadaisical in the offseason and then work on their game. Last year after All-Star break, they literally had the best record in the entire NBA. And obviously they lost 4-1 to the Raptors last year with Kawhi and all them boys.
That's the Raptors.
Those are competitive-ass games. So I think they're going to make the playoffs this year, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. Another thing I want to talk about is Kristaps Porzingis finally returned. That's going to be another pretty good tandem with him and Luka Doncic as well too. Obviously, when you're coming off a major injury like that, it's going to take a while to get back into full form. So I don't think until about maybe All-Star break is when we're going to see him back in his peak form. But from what I see now, man, Dirk 2.0, bro.
It's all 2.0. You can stretch that a little bit, because this dude's like unicorn again.
Yeah, the unicorn. He can move. He's 7'2", 7'3". He has an extremely quick release. He's too tall, so you're never going to block his shot.
Yeah.
And he's so tall that he's going to be a great rim protector. So I saw, a few glimpses of what the pick and roll is going to look like with him and Luka Doncic. Yeah. They're going to be tough, man. They're going to be real tough, and that's what I'm saying. The West is so stacked. All these teams we mentioning, the Pelicans, the Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, the Sacramento Kings, they're going to be fighting for that 8th seed.
Yeah.
But how you feel about the Luka and Porzingis pairing?
Porzingis pairing is tough because Luka's so crafty in a screen and roll in a traffic kind of scenario. So seeing him maneuver the ball, and then he has a safety valve in a screen and roll scenario when a Porzingis comes up is scary. And we've seen in these clips that Porzingis is literally shooting it from a step or two inside the logo. So we've been comparing all these teams, and we've like, oh, this duo was nice, this duo was nice, and you would want them all to be in the playoffs, but in reality, the league is so dispersed with talent this year. It's not oversaturated on one side that anything can happen. So we just want to see how these guys are going to come out and compete. Luka and Porzingis, scary matchup. There's not too many games you can drop in the West this year, pretty much. Barring some people are going to get injured here and there. There's going to be time off. But when you can win a game, you have to win a game for your playoff contention. That's it.
Yeah, man. One of these days, bro, like, I hate how the West is so stacked. It takes away from teams that can't make the playoffs. They got to say F it one day. No East or Western Conference no more. Just the top 16 teams go.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be pretty dope. Another thing I want to talk about, and I'll let you steer this boat, is
Let me drive the
what's
boat.
going on with China and the NBA. Fill us in, man.
All right. So, basically, for those of you that don't know, Daryl Morey,
GM of the Rockets.
GM of the Rockets, he made a tweet and it said, fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. And if you don't know anything about the political climate that's going on over in China right now, there has been their government is not a democracy, of course. And there's been protests in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong airport and just the city of Hong Kong in general that have, pretty much citizens just saying, hey, this government's not right. You guys need to, figure this out. And China is one of those places where it's like you don't really talk out against the government. On top of that, there's been some human rights violations. There's been talks of even Muslim people in China being not treated fairly, or even being like treated as second class, not even citizens, or not even humans in that matter. We won't go down that path. But Daryl Morey said, fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. And this was when the Rockets were doing a preseason game in China. Basically, and I can fill you guys in with everything else, this kind of created an uproar between China and the NBA, and kind of China and America, given that there's a trade war going on between us. Our governments are just two starkly different things, but we've been able to work together the last few decades because of the economic prosperity that has brought. How this kind of goes in with the NBA is that, and I'm trying to find the best way to say it, but it kind of goes in with the NBA is that the NBA has about a few $1 billion worth of assets in China. The China craze with the NBA really started during the retro days, because they just got TV televised games when Jordan was playing. Mm-hmm. So like China's love affair with basketball really started, and the first person they were seeing was Michael Jordan playing, was Nike popping. So they would have the Michael Jordan commercials that was just as hot as the games at the time. And, people fell in love with that. On top of that, the Rockets GM, the same team that drafted Yao Ming a while ago, was saying this. So it put the NBA in a weird spot politically, because, you're trying to support your owners and you're trying to get these people paid that you're supposed to. And David Stern kind of started this trend with China and the NBA, but Adam Silver had to come out and say, hey, the NBA stands for freedom of speech, and that's what it's going to be, because it kind of looks like when it first came out that, the NBA is not going to take up for this GM that's speaking out against a non-democratic state. And the NBA, there was a whole PR storm. It was like, oh, well, what are they going to do? They had our lawmakers, they had people in Congress talking about, hey, like, what's the NBA doing? Like, they shouldn't even have said anything to the GM, because that's what he should have said. So Adam Silver finally had to come out and say, hey, the NBA stands for freedom of speech. And it's kind of one of those classic things where it's like, look, there's a lot of monetary assets that $1 billion. We have like a $1.5 billion contract with China for them showing our games in China for the NBA. But it was just between, all right, freedom of speech and the people that are actually on the ground running your league, like the coaches, the players, or you're going to stand with just the money that you're making from the deal. And the NBA had to kind of align itself to not get too much heat from either side, because on one side you have a huge market in China, and on the other side you have your players, your coaches, your GMs that have freedom of speech in America. And it's like, do you tell them not to say it because you're doing a deal with the country that doesn't have freedom of speech? And, it put the NBA in a sticky situation. Adam Silver, again, finally came out, made that statement, and kind of mowed things over. But it just kind of speaks to the times that we live in. It's like, are you going to rock with money? Or are you going to kind of rock with what might be right in a political manner? And that can sometimes change, or that is always changing. And they tried to say that the Houston Rockets is not a political entity, but in these days and times, everything is a political entity given the message that it speaks. So that's my 2 cents on the NBA in Hong Kong. There's a really good take on it on the Daily NBA China, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say to that. So thanks for informing me and informing the audience as well too. It was very heartwarming, heartfelt. Last thing I want to talk about today is KD. Yeah, that's me. So Kevin Durant, obviously, suffered his Achilles injury, so he's rehabbing for a couple hours a day. You know what I'm saying? I think he can finally walk, I believe. I'm not quite sure. But he was on Hot 97 last week. And, he was talking about his injury, rehabbing, Brooklyn Nets, the Knicks, the Warriors, his favorite rappers, talking about a lot of things on there. So it's always good to see when players are, not just talking about basketball stuff. I know they kind of can get tired of that when you do that every single day. But it is a basketball podcast, so we're going to talk about basketball. So let's see here. So basically when he was getting interviewed, let me see here. Durant. So basically, on the interview, they were talking about picking the Nets and then going with the Knicks as well too. Durant said younger players have not seen the Knicks be successful, and that the perception of the Knicks as a brand is somewhat warped. He said, "I get it." Durant said it's hard to get the best players to play there. When asked why, the former MVP elaborated, "I think a lot of fans look at the Knicks as a brand and expect these younger players who in their lifetime don't remember the Knicks being good." He said, "I didn't grow up with the Knicks. I didn't grow up with the Knicks being good. Well, I remember the Knicks being in the finals, but the kids after me didn't see that. So the brand of the Knicks isn't as cool to them as, let's say, the Golden State Warriors, even the Lakers, the Nets now. The cool thing right now is not the Knicks." So with that being said, how do you feel about those comments? And do you think, do you think it's fair for, teams to for New York fans in general to gravitate towards the Nets as opposed to the Knicks? And do you think the Knicks can eventually get things together and be a competitive team?
I think that he's totally in the right for saying those things because Kevin Durant saying it from I'm in the league, the cool thing isn't, or we haven't seen it to be. But there's definitely kids out there that wouldn't think about the Knicks ever as a basketball power. And why throw dirt on KD for him just saying from his perspective how it seems? And do I see the Knicks getting it together? No. No. He would have stacked. And for the fans to gravitate between one and the other, I think that from an organizational standpoint, I'm losing a word from it, but from an execution standpoint, the Nets are getting everything done they need to. The Knicks, I don't even know if they had a package to offer KD. I don't know if they even sat down with KD and had a package ready to offer him. And he was a free agent this last offseason. That's trash, if anything, you should have been like, yo, we'll pay you whatever you want, if anything. And I don't think the Knicks even had a plan for that. The Nets inked Kyrie, they inked KD, they inked DeAndre Jordan, as well as, getting their other pieces out and getting their team together internally. So KD has every right to say what he said. If fans decided to gravitate towards the Nets, so be it, because they're the ones that are executing like an actual professional basketball team that wants to win games, probably should be operating. And it seems like a long time, definitely with the powers that be in the NBA right now, it seems like a long time before the Knicks are good again. That's my opinion on this one.
Yep, couldn't agree with you anymore. Yeah, that's about it today, ladies and gentlemen. Any last words you want to say before I give the closing remarks? As always.
Oh man, happy to be back. Hoping to be back sometime very, very soon, man. Thank you for having me as always. Hey, it's episode 62 of the Seezus Show. You already know.
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here from Trey Skywalker himself. Episode 62 of the Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Seezus Show and Sir Seezus and Trade XXIV. Did I say that right?
Trade XXIV. May the force be with you.